I have two different practices that I'm involved in, sculpture and photography. And I spend a bit more time on my photography because they're lengthy series and they are more tied into epic narratives. But one of those themes is Beauty and the Beast. And another one, which is tied into the work that I have at the Rubin Museum, Magic Mountain. It's very much about the contrast and the opposition between man-made materials and rampant nature, and how one can often destroy the other. But in terms of my process, photographically, I will have an idea. For instance, right now I'm working on a series involving a girl who is captive in an underground world. And there's a dark werewolfian beast who wants to seduce her. So it's this dark love story that unfurls in a subterranean netherworld, and eventually it goes above ground. And so I conceive of these stories, and I often write them down in list format because it's one shot that follows the other photographically, and then I will cast the models and develop the costumes, and sometimes shoot on location and sometimes shoot in my studio and then transpose the people into my photographs. So there's a lot of post-production on this work. And then I develop the frames. I always do my own custom frames for each piece, which often contain sculptural elements. What fascinates me most about landscape is how people interact in a terrain or a habitat. And I only do landscapes really that have subjects, that have individuals in it. And a big part of my interest in landscapes is how nature transforms a psyche, how it acts upon people and what happens if you're let loose in it. So often I will go out in the world and I'll photograph nature, and I often am drawn to extreme environments, whether it be Icelandic lava pits, or Ireland. There's a place called the Burren, which is just bedrock, no trees, or the cliffs of Moher. And then I will often transpose my subjects into it. So it's really a process of fusion between subject and landscape. I was thinking about my artistic process in relation to sculptural, more tactile objects, and that process is a bit more obscure to me. It's an editing process, and I start off with an idea. I knew that I wanted to do some kind of a spiraling, lumpen, construction, mountain, Baroque series of colonnades. And I conceived of this when my son was born 11 years ago. I had the idea for this piece, and it's taken this long to get it out there. And that was all about the nativity and this arduous process, and finally, having a son. And that piece was really more of a labyrinthine series of pathways in a mountain, and finally at the summit would be this harbinger of hope for the future, this Christ-like creature. And in this particular piece, it became simplified and really more like a hive or an anthill, a sacred mound that is a transmitter of energy from beyond. And there still is that oracular creature that surfaces at the summit, and there are those crystals that hopefully are energized and summoning forth different elements from the beyond. And then there's a host of other creatures that people this and are organized in a harmonious way.